Hey guys, and welcome back to my channel. Ignore my background, it's a little bit of a mess. It's always a mess, but it's more of a mess today. My room is just messy. I am in a very low mood today. The last few days I've been feeling a little bit sick and my morning just didn't start off great and I don't really want to talk about it. My face has been breaking out because I've been using expired makeup. I'm wearing what I normally wear, which is like a oversized t-shirt with shorts. So I'm gonna do like a nudie look, a very basic look, something that I would normally wear if I'm wearing makeup out of the house, because when I leave the house I don't typically wear like a full face. I don't look snatched and glowy and what's the word I'm looking for? Good. As you can see, I have a scar on my eyebrow. And as you can see, I have a scar above my eyebrow. I'm gonna tell you about those. So I'm not gonna put foundation on today. I really don't want to. Instead, I'm just going to put a bit of powder on and maybe some contour. So let's start with this bad boy. So when I was 4, I was in a car accident with my dad in the back seat. I think he was behind my seat. Dad! Okay, so my dad was in the back seat and my granddad was driving. The powder is pretty much just to get rid of the oiliness on my face. I swear I shower. I was 4 and I was the only one that could remember anything, but because I was 4, no one took me seriously. It's like, no one's gonna believe the kid. The thing is, I don't remember now. I'm 22, I don't remember, but I remember me remembering and telling people for years what had happened, but I don't actually remember anymore. I remember a kid running across the road. And my granddad swerved and hit the lamppost. When the ambulance got there, my dad and my granddad were unconscious. My foot, I was in a car seat, my favorite car seat. I packed such a fuss when we had to get a new one. So my foot got caught under the dash of the car. And the strap of the car seat hurt my shoulder, and I had gotten a gash on my head, on my forehead, and I woke up, that needed 3 stitches? I think that was 3 stitches. I woke up in a hospital room, and my memory of this is really weird because this is not what hospitals look like. Maybe back then, but this was like 2001? I was in like a waiting room almost, but it was just this big empty space at the hospital. And I was just laying in a stretcher, and then across this big room, it might have just been bigger because I was tiny, I was like 4, and my mom just ran up to me crying, and I didn't really know what had happened. I was still a little bit foggy, my head hurt, etc. And my mom was just a mess. She was a mess. Like, her 3 significant people were in a car accident. It's gotta be terrifying, right? I remember seeing my granddad through this glass screen, and he was in like this little, almost like cordoned off area. I don't remember what his injuries were. But my dad broke his spine. He has these major scars on his back now, because he had to have his spine fused into place. I'm probably getting all these terms wrong, Dad, I'm sorry if I'm butchering your story. I would get you on this channel, but you don't like to be filmed. Dad broke his spine. He walks perfectly fine now. He recovered incredibly well. But Dad also has a really high pain tolerance. And but I think he just wanted to go home. And I can see him. He's gonna do the lawns and I'm filming! Maybe my memory is just a little warped. Anyway, I have this major scar above my forehead and for a very long time I hated it. But everyone was like, scars give you character. Boys like scars. Now this scar, I would have been 11. No. Yeah? 11? No. I was 10 or 11. And I was on the playground and we had flying foxes. I don't know if that's still a thing. I know they got rid of the flying fox after this. There was this senior. He was year 8 and he was playing on the flying fox. And I was waiting for my turn on the flying fox. And I got bullied a lot. People picked on me, hurt me on purpose. Most of the time. To this day, I still don't know if this was intentional. He was on the flying fox, he was coming back towards me, and then he jumped off and threw it at me, and it hit me straight in the head. And I still remember that instant shock. Like, I had no idea what was going on. I just had this ringing in my ears. I couldn't see properly. I was wobbling. And then I started feeling the blood trickle down my face. And instantly I just put my head forward. Wasn't going to get it on my new shirt. Mum wished I did because it would have made it look more like a... But then I decided, okay, my head's bleeding. I'm going to go to the sick bay. And so I just had my head down and I was walking through the school. It's like from one end of the school to the other end of the school. And there was just this blood trail. Like, looked like someone had got murdered. It was just this blood trail right from the playground to the sick bay. It was messy. And for months they couldn't get my blood out of the concrete. It stained it. It was bad. And so I went to the sick bay. I wasn't crying. Like, I don't think the pain really hit me. I was in shock. And Mum came. Also, I think it was Mum that came to the sick bay. And so my parents took me to the hospital. And I had to get, I think this one was 4 stitches, or it might have still been 3. However, this one's bigger than this one, but I think they were the same. So I went to the hospital and they gave me laughing gas to like knock me out, to put the stitches in my face. You could see my skull. You could see my skull. I woke up as they were putting the last stitch in, and I remember feeling the searing pain in my head, and I sat up. Well, I tried to sit up and I just put my hand up and like, that hurts, like, stop. And they were like, it's okay, it's almost done. And yeah, I have this nasty scar through my eyebrow that makes it very hard to do my makeup. I don't really mind my scars. My scars are part of me. Interesting stories and all that. Oh, I just thought of another cool story time. Okay, at that same school. It was my second year at primary school. So I was 6. And my best friend at the time, she didn't talk to me after this. It was, again, in the morning before school started. And we had these very heavy closing doors. That she was holding the door open for me, and then she let go very quickly, and my pinky finger, I don't know if you can see, I have a scar that goes right around. My nail came completely off. My pinky finger got stuck in the hinge of the door. And the tip of my finger came off. Absolutely traumatized her. She would not talk to me after this. She avoided me like the plague. Had to have my finger stitched back on. Took a while for my nail to grow back. I think they glued it back on or something. I don't really remember. Once again, I think this was like 3 stitches. I don't know. It was hanging on by this tiny little bit of skin here. So I'm gonna use my Morphe 24G palette. It's just a nudie palette. And I got some pretty cool stories out of them. Oh, when I cut my finger off on the edge of the door, I wasn't crying either. I was 6 years old. And I just walked slowly, casually to the sick bay and was like, hey. So like, tip of my finger's missing. I was such a strange kid. Honestly, it could have been worse. I could have just like lost my finger. In fact, all of my injuries, I was very, very lucky. Very lucky. Like, I don't have brain damage from my head injuries that I know of. This was me being bullied. It was the same year. This was at the start of the year. And then I broke my arm, which was the breaking point, and I left the school. So I was like 10 or 11. And I was on the playground, well, on the court, on the way to the playground. There were a bunch of kids, boys, playing with a ball, and they thought it would be funny to hit me with the ball. However, they hit me with the ball, and I fell over. And I fell on my wrist, and I broke it. That hurt. It was a green stick fracture. Technically it wasn't broken, it's a fracture. Like a heel line fracture. Green stick fracture is like a heel line fracture. But when I fell over, they were all laughing at me. And that's when my parents pulled me out of school. There was this boy at that same school. Everything bad happened at that school. Okay, so there was this boy who was obsessed with spiders. And he knew I was terrified of spiders. And so he would chase me around the school with the largest spider he could possibly find. So I never used to be scared of spiders until I was like, I think I was 3 or 4. And we used to have this outside toilet. We would just like throw the toilet rolls at the bin, and then when the pile got too big, we'd clean it all up. So me and Mum were cleaning it all up, and I picked up one toilet roll, and this huge spider, it was the size of my palm, as a small child. Okay, so with the spider, my mum confirms that it was the size of my child hand. It was the biggest, yeah, it's about the size of her hand. The biggest spider she has ever seen in New Zealand. Had to call a MAF, don't know what that stands for. Had to call them to ask what kind of spider this was. I don't remember what spider it was. Do you remember?
Wolfsman.
That's an Australian spider.
Thank you.
A wolfsman spider. Don't those grow as big as like dinner plates?
It was a young one.
Ugh!
It was a bit bigger than my palm now.
Ugh! So I downplayed it. And it just crawled up my arm, and I literally jumped over my mother and ran to the other side of the house. And ever since, I've been terrified of spiders. I went to 6 different schools, technically 7, but I went to the same school twice. No, 8, I went to 2 schools twice because of bullying. I've been in another car accident a couple years later with my nana. We were in Mount Peel, and in Mount Peel there's like this side of the cliff thing. So we got the township up the top of the hill, and then we go down a little spirally type hillside, and it goes down very quickly. So you only get like the of blood rushing to your head. But it was winter, and she slipped on black ice because it was nighttime. We had just finished with this charity thingy where we were making like sandwiches for people. We were on our way home. It was late at night. We slipped on some black ice at the top and spiraled out of control. Somehow she managed to get us safely to the bottom, and we went straight into a bush, and glass went through the back window and hit me. I didn't get hurt or anything. I just got hit with a bunch of like shattered glass. At least I don't think I got hurt. This is not going anywhere. I'm just gonna put mascara on. I should do it doing my high school makeup 10 years later. Like, I could never recreate how awful it was, but I can do it now to make it look good. Ish. Do you like that? Is that a good idea? I used to be goth, by the way. Keep that in mind. I still have the same eyeshadow as I used back then as well. So I'm going to use this OXX Cosmetics matte. Anyway, this is the look. I'm going to take my hair out. If you guys want more story times, let me know. I mean, I'm not great at them, but I'm sure I can figure out some more themed mini story times for when I do my makeup if you guys are interested. I actually had a lot more fun than I thought I was going to because I was so low in mood and energy and I'm sick, so I'm like, I don't really want to film. But I'm really happy I filmed. Leave a thumbs up if you like this video. I'm gonna do a little montage. And I'll see you in the next video. Hello, so I got a little of my information a little mixed up. Okay, so with the spider, my mom confirms that it was the size of my child hand. It was the biggest, yeah, it's about the size of her hand. The biggest spider she has ever seen in New Zealand had to call a
Meth.
MAF.
M-A-F.
MAF. Don't know what that stands for. Had to call them to ask what kind of spider this was. I don't remember what spider it was. Do you remember?
Wolfsman.
That's an Australian spider.
Thank you.
A wolfsman spider. Don't those grow as big as like dinner plates?
It was a young one.
Ugh. Okay, so it's the size of my hand as a kid, which is probably the size of my palm now, maybe a little bit bigger.
Your hand, my hand. It was a bit bigger than my palm now.
Ugh. So I downplayed it.